Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The slightly okay Mariners.
Okay, slightly okay, Mariners. Well, that's a smooth transition to the slightly good Seahawks
That's
coming off
true.
of another division win in back-to-back weeks. A
Club.
16-6 victory against the Arizona Cardinals. And we are here to break that down for you. But before we do, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that is going to bring a lot of pizzazz, a lot of upbeat from this game, a lot of just good things. Maybe you're looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, and leave a comment or two. If you're looking for a guy that will probably also bring some fun, but was trying to be all sad and talk about all the players that wouldn't be back coming off a win to put them back at the top of the division. So, you
That's
know what?
true.
You
I
never
was.
know what you're going to get from this wild card called Kane.
Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406. Over on TikTok, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over at Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it. I was just thinking about budget for next year, dude. All right. About how overpaid we have to pay interior linemen.
Okay, let's talk about this game. How about
Sure.
how about them apples?
Sure. I like that idea.
All right. Breakdown by quarter. Zeros across the board in the first. Second quarter, Arizona gets on the board with 3. Seahawks get 7. In the third, the Seahawks come out with 6. And then 3 apiece in the fourth for a grand total of 16-6 with your Seattle Seahawks on top.
Back in club dub.
Club Dub is right. Arizona gets the party started with a 35-yard field goal from Chad Ryland. That is followed up with a 3-yard touchdown catch by Jackson Smith and Jigba. In the third quarter, you've got Kobe Bryant with the 69-yard pick six. Hold my dick. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. Extra point was
Yeah.
missed. In the fourth quarter, Chad Ryland notches another 22-yard field goal, and Jason Myers ices the game with a 50-yard field goal.
Good game. It was a great game, actually, all
Defense,
around.
the
Yeah.
the defense
Offense
played amazing, and the offense
did enough.
did enough. It's getting a little old seeing them move the
Do
ball efficiently at times, but not put points on the board. Being able to score early and often is not something this team is very accustomed to doing. And down the stretch, you're going to need to see that. When you look at the last 3 games, they've all been division games. You had given up 22 points to the Rams with their overtime touchdown, and you've been 16 or below the last 2 weeks for the for this
defense
defense.
is just
Defense is playing banana.
lights out, and it starts at Ernest Jones. Honestly, since he's gotten to the team, yes, we got blown out by the Bills, but that was his first game. And then since then, it's just been straight to business. And Ernest Jones kind of been the focal point of it all.
Yep, that's true. So let's talk about some stats.
Okay.
We always start off with passing stats. Geno Smith, 22 for 31 for 254 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, another ill-fated interception.
Yep. I like that the passing yards went up this week, significant amount.
They had a couple of balls. He had a couple of balls batted down on some screen plays or just little dump offs that were going to go for big yardage. Their
Mm-hmm.
D linemen were just getting the hands up. The pick unfortunate. Probably could have ran for it. Kind of throws linebackers coming through. Kind of doesn't see him. Tyler Lockett's not in a good spot, anyways. From
Wow.
from the look that I got, so I don't know how well the decision that is. If you take the sack or try to go get the first down with your legs, you're still in field goal range. You put this game away a little bit sooner. The Rams turn around, not the Rams, the Cardinals turn around and drove the ball down into the red zone, and Seahawks defense, bowed up a little bit and kept him out of the end zone for the entirety of this game. And I think they were saying this is the first time all season that the Cardinals have been in goal to go and not scored a touchdown. And it is the second time in Kyler Murray's career that they've not scored an offensive touchdown. So Geno Smith did enough to get it going. He dispersed the ball pretty decently as well. A lot of guys getting in on the action, a couple guys favored more than others. But let's talk about the running game, because the running game, the
It's not great.
yardage is not great. You
No.
had Kenneth Walker, 16 carries for 41 yards. That is not a very good average. I think it was like 2.6. But Zach Charbonnet
Yep.
actually got going a little bit in this game.
I
6
did
for
like that
22.
that big run he got in late third, I believe. That was pretty nice. It was that 12-yarder.
Yeah, he had a couple of good runs for first downs,
Yep.
and that's the kind of change of pace you want to see. And he was hitting the hole hard. Walker did a little bit more dancing behind the line of scrimmage than he typically does. Instead of, once he gets the edge, just puts his foot in the ground and goes. He tried to get outside of corners a couple times, and that kind of really stymied his yards. So
Yeah. Their D line just kind of flowered out every time he tried to run outside.
yeah,
And that was just unfortunate.
flowered out.
Yeah,
Did a good job of keeping contain and forcing him to the force defender on the edge. That's what.
sure.
Let's use football terms here. Flowered out.
Sure, dude.
Did Kenneth Walker use his rainbow power?
Not this week. Not this week, dude. And that's just kind of one of the unfortunate things for me right now is the running game hasn't been very good.
But I do think that when you're getting your running backs involved in the passing game, whether it's design screens or having them be the check down type guy,
True.
which Kenneth Walker had a pretty big day there. So let's talk about some wide receiving stats. JSN paces the team with 6 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown.
Just so
DK
good.
Metcalf, 4 catches for 59 yards. Kenneth Walker, 4 catches for 52 yards, and Tyler Lockett, 2 catches for 20.
I do like to see that from Tyler. Also, I never thought I would say this. Big shout out to Pharaoh Brown on that one catch, and he absolutely demolished two guys.
I'm not giving, I thought about also giving a shout out to Farrell Brown, but that got rescinded when the Seahawks pinned the Cardinals at the 2, and he gets called for an unsportsmanlike after the play to start
Yeah.
him at the 17. So all the good favor that you got, he had a bad holding player earlier in the game.
Yeah, I just thought that was it was unexpected is what it
I
was.
think he was trying to let his demons out. But
Um
JSN,
dude.
big day. Again, he's been really humming lately. The tunnel screen hits again this week, but even goes for more yardage. Gets good
Yeah.
separation in at the goal line for his 3-yard touchdown catch. DK Metcalf just finding holes and finding pockets, and Kenneth Walker does a phenomenal job at getting upfield when he gets thrown the ball. He had I think it was about a 15 plus yard play where he hurdles Buda Baker, and you saw the electricness in space, right?
Yeah.
Tyler
Yeah,
Lockett
you did.
also on his first target drew a pass interference by just getting thrown to the ground. So although his stats aren't showing the whole picture, but Jackson Smith and Jigbo, we talked about this last year. We talked about it earlier this year. Getting him involved earlier and more often has come at the price of Tyler Lockett. But with the juice you see from JSN, the juice is worth the squeeze, baby.
Yeah, and you can't even sleep on DK, right? He's just such a presence out there. 4 for 52, but it's a loud
59.
52. Oh, my bad. But every throw to DK is a dart. It is a dart, and he goes up and gets it. I mean, JSN is, like I said, right? You get him to that like 10 to 15 yard mark out and then release. And it's working out. I mean, the longest he had was a 49-yard reception.
Oh, I was on the
And
tunnel screen.
right. And dude, just give him room, give him space, and he's gonna slice and dice everybody. It's exactly what Shane Waller needed to do with him last year, and yet they threw little shitty screens all
Don't
year.
don't talk about Shane Waldron. He's not having a good time right now.
But the emergence of JSN, and you can see just Lockett just isn't what he used to be, right? A little bit older. He's gonna be 33 soon. But you can't sleep on him, right? Because the one time you sleep on Tyler Lockett is the
Blows
time
up.
he's gonna burn you. And yeah, K9, dude. K9 absolutely, the screens work for him. You can kind of count them as rushing yards because he's not really going far outside of that. Offensive line has played better for them
Still
to
gave up.
get
Still
in,
gave up 5 sacks.
right, but they're playing a little bit better, giving him a little bit more time for plays to develop. Abe Lucas back has been huge. I didn't see really many holding calls. Hope Anthony Bradford's okay, but you know,
We'll see. Saw something on X earlier today. Apparently, the guard out of Utah is going to be pushing Christian Haynes if Anthony Bradford is out. So it sounds like Haynes is going to have to earn that starting spot, even though he's been active every game. And I don't even Samoa Ota Samota from
sure.
Utah. He's been he's been on the roster, but a healthy scratch each week. So it'll be interesting to see. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of this game. Let's talk about some players on this defense because this defense was straight humming. Start off with the leading tackler to nobody's surprise. It is Ernest Jones with 10
Oh, good.
tackles, clocking in at second. Shouldn't be a surprise here either. Tyrese Knight with 9 tackles also clocks his first NFL sack. Next, you
Yeah,
got Kobe Bryant, 6 tackles, 6 solos, 1 interception, 1 pick 6,
and a pass defended.
and a pass defended. You got Leonard Williams, 6 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, 1 pass defended. Boye Mafe clocks in with the sack on the opening drive, and Jaron Reed gets the other half sack combined with Leonard Williams for a grand total of 5. And the other big thing is the Seahawks earlier in this year, even against mediocre running games, have really ratcheted it up the last 3 weeks. Kyron
Yeah.
Williams did not have the biggest of weeks. McCaffrey, for how talented he is, I think you can say they bottled him up pretty well.
Yep.
James Conner has been a horse for this team. He finished the day with 8 rushing yards and finished fourth on the team in rushing.
Yeah.
That's bonkers for a
Yeah.
team that was getting sliced and diced by Tyrone Tracy, Ramondre Stevenson,
Yeah.
pick
And
your
and this is
Gorendo,
and this is coming off
Trey
of
or
the
Trey
Cardinals winning
Mason,
what, five straight, too?
4 straight.
Four straight. They're
They were
feeling
coming
pretty
off a
good.
bye. I mean, this is the start. I mean, the Seahawks got their bye and they come out and they face San Francisco. Then you get the Cardinals coming off a bye this upcoming week. You get the Jets coming off the bye. So it seemed to really deflate the Cardinals. And even with the power outages, there was limited power at the VMAC all week. So you had some additional struggles for the defense to come just play lights out. They're really starting to tick and really starting to hum. And this is what you envisioned when Mike McDonald was named the head coach, to be able to get aggressive, to get multiple, to see this thing working at all three levels.
Yeah,
It does, I think, start with Ernest Jones coming in. I think that's a big help. You've seen Leonard Williams ratchet it up. You've seen Draymond Jones at time. You've seen Boye Mafe. You've seen Derek Hall really play well. Both of your safeties, whether it's been Love with Kobe Bryant or Rayshawn Jenkins, your safety game's been pretty solid all year. When you look at Josh Jobe getting inserted into the starting lineup, and
he's
Reek
played
still playing
very
very
well.
solidly as well, and then Spoon just being a menace, like,
Yeah,
and then you're starting to see that interior defensive line start working a little bit more when you're putting Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy in there, a little bit of Jonathan Hankins. Like, this thing is really starting to come together.
right. Yeah, it's been a delight to see, especially against division opponents. So
That are good, all
it's
good at running the ball.
yeah,
Every single one.
and all have pretty decent quarterback play as well. It's just been so fun to see and to completely. I mean, Trey McBride had a day, right? He had a great day, but
Well,
they didn't score a touchdown,
a lot of it was just check down stuff because
right?
of
And I
so much
think,
pressure.
well, I think Mike made a choice, right? Because you have to sacrifice one thing, and it was the passing game, right? You let Trey McBride go. You know your defense is going to stop him at some point. You stop the running game. You completely shut down Kyler. He didn't have many rushing yards either.
No, and Kyler didn't, and they beat him up in that game too.
Yeah, he was
So
bullied.
yeah, it didn't look like he had the same zip running around the field, especially getting on the edge. I felt like there was a couple of times early in the game where he could have cut up the field and got some positive yardage, and he either took a sack or threw it out of play, which is odd seeing that come from Kyler. And I will say, like, the biggest moment for me is when they went for it on fourth down and the Seahawks called a timeout and they broke up the pass play. I was so pissed, but it
It
got
sure
better.
did.
And a testament to Spoon shadowing Kyler. There was nowhere for him to go. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to run for the first, so he just throws up a duck, and Kobe Bryant houses it.
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. Play the game.
Let's get into players of the game. Who is your offensive player of the game?
Jackson Smith and Jigba, baby. Oh man, he's so fun. He is so fun with this offense. Just the athleticism from him, right? And the vision downfield. It's something else. And it was kind of you had Lockett doing that for years, right? With the slicing and the dicing, but with age, it's kind of gotten less. DK's kind of a one-ish dimensional guy. He will hit you, and
What are you
it's
talking about?
not like JSN, right? Where
Yeah,
DK's
DK
more of your
Metcalf is not
deep.
getting involved in the screen game because he's your one of your lead blockers in the screen game. DK Metcalf is hitting deep routes, intermediate routes,
Yes,
out routes.
yes.
How
He
is that one dimensional?
he's a deep threat receiver.
He's a deep threat receiver who has been nails with his hands and has
I understand that.
you.
It's not what I meant, Coach.
It's okay. I can just take you at what you say.
Sure, but JSN has finally flourished, and it's his time to shine. So JSN's my offensive player of the game. Coach Red, who was yours?
My offensive player of the game was going to be Gino until he threw that ill-advised pick. So I'm gonna go with Kenneth Walker, although the rushing attack wasn't like we've seen in the past. His yardage is creeping up there again. But what he was able to do out of the backfield and in the passing game, I thought was huge for this team. And he did it at critical times that helped extend drives. So I think that with Kenneth Walker getting going, anytime he's around 100 yards, I don't care how he does it. He
Right.
ends the day at 93, and he was a real difference part of this game. And if offensively, they were able to lean on him a little bit more, even though the yardage wasn't always there, it helps keep your defense fresher, which we saw in this game,
Mhm.
which led to the defense really balling out.
Yeah.
All right, Kane, who was your defensive player of the game?
I'm going with Devin Witherspoon, dude. And five solos on the day. That's huge. Um, and also he was just the main component in the pick six, right? And on top of that, he sees James Conner not have the ball, spin moves out and catches Kyler on the edge, then goes down the field, blocks two guys, puts James Conner on the ground, and hits him with the too small. Just a straight savage moment. Play of the game. Dude has unreal talent for just, as you said, being a menace, right?
And they call that instincts.
Right. So he's just unreal and he's kind of playing at a different level right now. He shut down most receivers he was on and he's just different right now. Coach
Yeah.
Red, who is oh, go ahead if you want to.
Yeah, he doesn't have the sacks or the picks like he had last year, but you're seeing him impact the game in ways that does not show up on the stat sheet, right?
Right, right. And he is that kind of trendsetter for that defense as well. Like if Little Spoon is on, I mean the whole team is basically on.
Yup.
Coach Ed, who's your defensive player of the game?
Well, my defensive player of the game is the guy that did fill up the stat sheet, and all the stats that I listed out. It was like a grocery list for Thanksgiving dinner. There's a lot of stats on there. Leonard Williams, the big cat, 6 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, and throw in a pass defended for good measure. I believe the pass defended was when he hit Kyler's arm going forward in a ball that was it was about a millisecond away from being a fumble.
Who scooped it? Was it Tyrese Knight?
Tyrese Knight and housed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyrese Knight really flourishing and coming back into the starting lineup.
Yeah.
This whole defense, I mean, you could call it a team game. I didn't see a whole lot of plays stacking up for Julian Love, but watching him just fly in and clean things up was great. Boy,
He did pick it, but he did get the feed in.
yeah, and Boye Mafe coming around the edge early. And
Yeah.
you've got Chinny Nwosu, who's back to practice starting this week, not going to play this week, already confirmed. But you're looking at a team that is going to get a little bit stronger. You get Rayshawn Jenkins back in this game, and I thought it was fun to see him come in and you kind of play Kobe in that nickel spot and having having a variety of defensive back types on that back end, I think is huge for this team because if you
Yep.
have a team that's going to be more run heavy or you need a guy that can go lay the hammer, that guy is Rayshawn Jenkins. If you need a guy
Mm,
that could be a little bit more crafty, I think that's Kobe Bryant. So
right.
you got options. Julian Love being the elder statesman in that whole crew, I think is really keeping them together. I think that bringing in Ernest Jones has done a lot. And then you've seen what Big Cat can do being the leader on that defensive side. You have good leaders at each level right now, which
Mm,
Jerome Baker, I think, had the experience to be that guy. I think that Tyrell Dotson had the play acumen from last year to be that guy, but Ernest Jones is that guy. And
Yeah,
what you're really seeing is an emergence of a guy that we all kind of panned coming out of the draft in the fourth round of Tyrese Knight.
right. I love Tyrese Knight. I loved
You
him when they
didn't you
took
didn't
him.
you didn't love him back in April.
Yeah,
It was a
but
head scratcher a little bit back in April, but
through camp and everything, just the dude's dog. Love it.
now we're gonna get into the next game and talked about it. It's another team that's coming off the bye. It's the New York Jets. The Jets beat the Patriots the week after we beat the Patriots. They had a big win against the Texans, who have faltered a little bit more as of late, but they've also played some pretty uninspired football that led to Robert Sala getting the axe mid-season. You've got you
And
made the
just
trade to go get Devontae Adams to reunite him with Aaron Rodgers, and they got a bevy of weapons on offense, is what I put. You've got Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Brees Hall. You can
Tyler
throw
Conklin's not
Lazard in there,
terrible.
Tyler Conklin.
Yeah. They do have a bevy of weapons. Their offensive line isn't very good. And Aaron Rodgers isn't very good
Aaron Rodgers is
anymore.
not the same as he used to be. He doesn't have the escapability. He's taken a lot
No.
more sacks this year, and I anticipate this to be a big game for the big three in Williams, Boye Mafe, and Derek Hall.
Yeah. Garrett Wilson is a problem.
Devontae
But
Adams is a problem. Brees Hall
right.
is a problem.
But they faced three pretty darn good running backs the last three games. Four if you count James Cook, but he actually had a big game, and that was when they were still trying to figure it out. But last 3 weeks, they've contained very well. I can see them containing Brees Hall as well. Cornerbacks, that's where it's going to be the big question mark, I think, this week. But your safety play is going to stay excellent. Um, Offensively is what I'm interested in this week. Hopefully they can figure it out. I know the Jets do have a good defense. I
I
don't
said that they have a bevy of weapons there right now. You got Will McDonald, second year player. He's leading this team with 8 sacks. You got Quinnen Williams that has 6 sacks for this team. The surprising stat for me is combined between Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, 0 interceptions on the year.
yeah. Um I just want to see what JSN can do this week again. And hopefully Canine can slice and dice.
Yeah.
I want to see the rushing attack explode.
I think that the mentality is right with an upcoming game the following week against the Cardinals, knowing that you need to keep this momentum going. I don't think you're going to see a letdown game, especially because you have a former Jet on this team in Leonard Williams that is a strong, powerful voice in that locker room. And then you also have Geno Smith,
Yep.
right? So you've got a couple of guys that want to go out and absolutely destroy them. And it'll be interesting to see how they come out after their bye week. But the one thing the Seahawks have done this year is they're on the road. They only have one loss, and that loss is to the Lions, where they played extremely competitive throughout the course of that game. And the Lions are hands down the toast of the NFC on the road. Yes, it was a tight game against the Patriots, but you go down to San Francisco, you go down to Atlanta when Atlanta was running pretty hot. You're getting those games where they're kind of backstacking on the tail end of the schedule where you're playing on the road, but the Seahawks have done a good job adjusting to that on the road. Do I love
Yeah.
them having an early kickoff in at the end of November in New York? No,
Hell no.
but if this team can continue to do what they've done defensively and
Yes.
be able to piece a few more drives together offensively, this team's going to be a tough out. I was talking to Scott the Thought today, and he had said, the Seahawks can be a problem for a lot of people. I don't see them as a team, that wins the Super Bowl or anything like that, but they can be a tough out. And I said, look at back when Eli Manning beat the Patriots twice. There was no way anyone thought that team was going to win a Super Bowl. There was no way that Eli Manning and company were going to defeat the undefeated Patriots. And things happen. And if you start humming at the right time, this defense is playing out of its mind. And if it can
Yeah.
continue to do that, you keep creating turnovers, you keep creating negative plays, and you turn a few more of your offensive opportunities into points. I don't even care if they're field goals, just score more points. And
Yeah,
I think this team's
exactly.
going to be in a pretty good shape because, yes, their schedule is more difficult going down the stretch. You still have a game at LA, you still have your game at Arizona,
Arizona.
you still have a trip to Chicago where it's probably going to be absolutely terrible when you talk about weather. So, who else we got on this? Well,
You have the Vikings. You have Green Bay.
so you got
Um,
some tough opponents still,
yeah, Green Bay's, we'll get into those when we get there.
but you got to take care of business now. You got to keep stacking wins while you can,
Yes.
right? Keep the momentum going. I do not see them having a letdown. They played two very inspired games, and I expect to see it again because the leader of your offense and one of the, I would say, co-leaders of the defense do not like the
Yeah.
Jets.
I don't think a lot of people like the Jets right now.
But a lot of people could like our content, but only if they follow us on social media. You can find me, your boy Coach Red, on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, and leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, Kane0624. Also, follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.